Hey Cameron, welcome to this podcast episode with Buildify. And how are you doing?
It's good to be here. Doing great. Living the dream. Just here in San Francisco, trying to scale decentralized AI.
Awesome, awesome. That's great, actually. So let's begin with like a short intro about yourself and what you guys are working on at Near Protocol and Near AI.
Totally. So my name is Cameron Dennis. I've been building with Near for almost 5 years now. Been in crypto for almost the last 10, primarily interested in incentives, using cryptocurrency to design the world that we would like. I think money is the root of all incentives. Crypto introduces the idea of programmable money, so we're able to program incentives to sort of get the outcomes we want. Very focused right now on the role of crypto in AI, primarily because I think AI has a lot of perverse incentives. Superintelligence is something that will change humanity forever. And I want to make sure that humans stay at sort of focus of superintelligence. And this is a very complex problem to dive into. So hopefully we'll get into some of the specifics.
Got it, got it. So I saw that you guys at Near talk a lot about user-owned AI. So can you shed some light on that? Like what actually the whole concept of user-owned AI means, like decentralized AI?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, decentralized AI is a bit of a weird word or phrase. So I'm more interested in like verifiable AI, which means and sort of definitely aligned with user-owned AI, which means you have a public key and a private key that sort of can point to some sort of data store that you own yourself, that no one has access to, that you can use to essentially increase the context window of the models that you use, and so you can give it much more context of your personal self while maintaining a level of privacy and verifiability to ensure that this data is not being used to further train these models without your full consent, or you're able to verify that the model is the model that you think you're using. And also, these model trainers and AI developers have the ability to source compute in a decentralized way where they're not completely relying on a single provider. There's a lot of sort of, I think the whole like user-owned or decentralized AI stack, it's a stack. You have all the hardware at the bottom, you have like all the middleware and all the applications. And so the hardware is pretty much where I'm focused on right now, primarily in the world of confidential compute. Really, this is a relatively newer in the last year or so paradigm where you can have TEEs on the GPU. This is all primarily introduced by NVIDIA's confidential compute stack, and there's a lot of interest here to essentially be able to ensure that the prompt that you're giving to OpenAI or one of these third-party providers is verifiably private, and also you're able to prove that the model itself, this is more research at this point, is being trained with certain types of data. So these are two things that we think are pretty paramount for user-owned AI. But again, it's a huge complex problem that I'm sort of just like chipping away at a component of it. But the near ecosystem is approaching it like as a full stack. We have a bunch of ecosystem projects dedicated to different parts of it.
Got it, got it. Also, like, can you give us a short overview about how the architecture looks like at Near Protocol, and also regarding the idea behind on-chain AI, like how does it helps being on-chain when you're building an AI?
Yeah, so I want to make it clear that a lot of AI is not going to be running on chain. That doesn't make sense. And so the reason, let's start with what the Near protocol is. And so the Near protocol is, think of it as a distributed database where there are many validators around the world that are verifying the state of this database. I think of like the layer one component of this, which is the Near protocol, which is again all these validators. The whole point of that is to ensure that it can scale and it's easy to build on top of. So this has actually attracted me to Near to begin with. This is like a while ago because it scales with a system called sharding. And the sharding architecture, which is actually very much so used in traditional databases, is when more demand comes to the network actually sort of splits up into many different components, and those components can communicate with each other to verify that the data living on each component is valid. And so this is a way that Near scales, and we've been able to actually achieve really impressive benchmarks and really kind of check the blockchain box, honestly, with scale and usability. The usability piece comes in Near's account model. The account model is, as the word suggests, how accounts are managed. This is the other thing that brought me over to Near, which I thought was really compelling, is that every wallet is by default a smart contract, which means you have the ability to flexibly manage access to an account. So, let's say every wallet can be a multi-sig, for example, where you have a key, I have a key, a lawyer has a key. In order for anything to happen, two of the three need to sign off. This is baked into the protocol, which makes it much easier for people from Web 2 to come build in Web 3 because they're used to this type of architecture. And I think that this is a prerequisite to mass adoption because it's kind of what already exists. The other thing that really compels me about the account model is the fact that every wallet is by default human readable. So I'm Cameron.near. This is, again, another prerequisite, in my opinion, for mass adoption. I used to say that like all of Beyonce's fans are not going to be using a 64 character hexadecimal public key. That just won't work. And so we need something that like people will relate to. And so that is sort of the base layer of your protocol. There's a second component of Near, which is a programmable multi-party computation network, MPC network. Think of this as a network that enables a user from Near to be able to sign transactions and manage accounts across any other blockchain.
Okay.
And the way that this works is we're enabling interoperability at the signature scheme level, not the virtual machine level. And just to kind of step back a little bit, these virtual machines are, the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, is essentially a virtual machine where you're able to deploy Solidity code and have it run. And so there's been some sort of consensus within the blockchain community that EVM is the sort of standard for blockchain interactions. But we don't think that the EVM is as performant as other types of virtual machines that can be created. Solana agrees. A bunch of other protocols agree. And so what we enable is this interoperability between these virtual machines, but one layer lower, which is at the signature scheme. So I don't mean to get too deep into it, but the whole point is the second layer of Near is able to enable interoperability across all these different ecosystems, from Bitcoin to Dogecoin to Sui to Stellar to Cardano to any of these things. And that's really important for people to stop caring about blockchains ultimately. I actually tweeted today, people shouldn't care about what blockchain their favorite app is deployed to, just like they don't care what cloud provider their favorite apps are using. It just should work. And so this is a sort of prerequisite to sort of, again, check the blockchain box, because most people don't really care about databases. They care about apps. But we're stuck in this like blockchain sort of PvP world, which to me makes no sense.
Got it. That's definitely very correct, because like people don't really care about the backend. What they care is the use case for what they're using the app actually. So thanks for the overview. Also, there are a lot of other blockchains which are coming up right now, and which are like all focused on AI agents and other AI focused apps. So what makes Near different from them? Like, why should devs consider building their AI apps on Near rather than any other blockchain available right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of these agents, I kind of bucket agents in one camp, and then like the rest of AI model builders and trainers in another. On the agent side, it's kind of a prerequisite to have your agents be inherently multi-chain. Your agents aren't going to care what blockchain they're interacting on. They want to go where users and liquidity are, which is why that second layer, that programmable multi-party computation layer, MPC, is so important. So your agent can transact on Bitcoin if it wants to, or Solana, or Near, or whatever. And so that's only possible on Near today through the programmable MPC network. That network is called chain signatures. So one, enable interoperability. Two, you're benefiting from that layer one that scales really, really well. And so if you want your users to not have to care about hitting a throughput threshold or having the chain go down, I don't know how many times every couple of months on Twitter I see, Base is down, Solana is down, Sui went down, all these blockchains go down. This is not what we're supposed to be building when it comes to permissionless and sort of forever persistent infrastructure. Near has never gone down. That is amazing. So if you want that type of reliability in a distributed network, Near's the best place to build. And also, the Near Foundation really cares about AI. So Ilya, the co-founder of Near, and Alex, the other one, both started Near as an AI company. Ilya co-wrote "Attention is All You Need," the paper that started the T in ChatGPT. That's the transformer,
Correct.
and this really kind of paved the entire world of generative AI. So these
Got it.
people know what we're talking about. Like they're very they're focused on AI. And so if you're a serious AI builder, you want to work with other serious AI builders.
Got it, got it. That's definitely very correct because both of these co-founders are like very seriously focused on AI. But on the other side, many blockchains are riding on the AI hype right now, specifically to say. Also,
Yeah,
I
and
recently,
it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. Like the
yeah,
agent stuff is already passing, frankly. Like the
correct.
things that are going to last are gonna be built by serious people who dedicate their lives to this.
Got it, got it. That's definitely very true. Also, I saw a recent post from Near's account that you guys integrated Stellar in Near Intents actually. So, can you share more about Near Intents and what actually it is?
Yeah, so near intense, think of it like a giant liquidity layer for all of Web3. Um, and so you have this like engine that is able to plug into any front end, a decentralized exchange, where now you're able to, like, if someone launches a token with Near, that token can be easily tradable across any of the front ends that Near Intent supports. So now that Near Intent supports Stellar, a token launching on Near or any asset tradable on Near is now tradable on any Stellar exchange that supports the intent. So the integration that Stellar integrates intents essentially means Near and all tradable assets on Near and all other assets that are supported by intents are now tradable on Stellar. So you can use XLM to buy Bitcoin or Dogecoin. These things that were historically very fragmented and different from each other are now unified. And so this is a really big deal if we're talking about unifying all of crypto, making it so we can focus on the real problem, which is, how do we just, verify and, decentralize, in my opinion, the entire financial world and institutions, making all of these, very exclusive financial products open source and pluggable and composable for any person in the world to leverage. It's sort of just going to start with the unification across all these different blockchains, and that's what intent enables.
Got it, got it. That's definitely very like interesting concept you guys are building. Also, on the other thing, I know that Near has like solid tech. You guys are coming up with different products, which like enhance the blockchain and AI space. But on the other side, also somewhat, I think that there is not many people who know about what's Near doing recently or like what new you guys are building. So for that, I would like to ask you: is that how are you guys like reaching out towards the developer community, and what incentives do you guys have for them so that they come and build on your network and utilize all the latest tech which you guys are working on?
Yeah, so there's a wide variety of hackathons. So, if you look at like the developer funnel, there's a lot of people who are interested, but they're kind of amateur developers or beginners, which is great. And we should have a pathway for them. That pathway is primarily through hackathons and online education, and we have all the videos and quality documentation and all that stuff. So that's good. We want people to experiment there. We don't do grants, partially because grants don't work very well. If you're trying to get to the thing which in my opinion really matters, which is founders that build products that people want to use without you paying them. So the whole idea is, and this is maybe controversial for a lot of crypto communities, but I think community, a lot of the times, is an excuse for protocols and applications that don't have product market fit. And the reason for this is because I watch Netflix, I use Apple, I use these apps, like these products. I do not consider myself part of the Netflix community. I just watch Netflix because it solves a problem for me. I'm looking to be entertained. And so my point here is I think community is incredibly important if it is powered by values, empowered by things that, you and I relate to that extend beyond money. The like community built on the back of financial interest is fickle. It's going to move to the next, community that offers them a higher incentive. And that's
Yeah.
not community. That is value extraction. And so when it comes to community, we're very focused on building a community that cares about user-owned AI, user-owned money, these things that are really rooted in deeper concepts that require a good amount of understanding about the financial system and how technology works. And so when it comes to community, that's what we're focused on. When it comes to developer support and founder support, we do write investments for teams that do have a lot of traction. So we do make investments. We also have a really cool program called Protocol Rewards, where teams that might not be at the level of hitting tons of users and having the best metrics in the world can get some support through near token incentives, where they register for a program, they get approved for the program, and they essentially get dripped. I think it's like a couple $1,000s a month, just to kind of have them continue on their project. This is not intended to be the thing that funds their company forever. It is essentially a mini grant program to support independent developers. And then once they hit that sort of product market fit that they're looking for, then they're, as a founder, supposed to go raise their own money. They're supposed to be successful on their own, but we do support teams with sometimes, depending on the interest of the investor, warm introductions to investors, access to demo days, sponsoring hackathons. We provide them the things, the distribution channels once they've hit some level of success.
Got it, got it. Also, I see that Ilya has been like angely investing in a lot of products like Fraction AI and all. So that's also very good to see actually. Uh, like we all know that Near is not new. Near has been building from a very long time, and the use case is pretty clear. So I'm sure that the ecosystem of Near protocol is pretty big. A lot of projects are definitely building on Near. So what are a few projects you would like to highlight which are building on Near? Like let it be related to AI use case or any other use cases.
Yeah, so I kind of again bucket the near projects into I could almost call it like three camps. One is like near native DeFi and I guess like infrastructure. This is like Rhea Finance. They are building an amazing tech. It's all the liquid staking protocols from Linear to Metapool. I know Rhea is going to launch a liquid staking product. We have Templar. That's actually the second bucket, which is more focused on the chain abstraction, enable people across any app to use your application. Templar is a really cool lending market. They're focused on the Bitcoin ecosystem. There's a ton, honestly, like on the chain abstraction side, it kind of goes on and on. But what I'm mainly focused on is on the AI front. And again, it's a whole stack. So we have the sort of data storage and like data layer. In this ecosystem, I'm very interested in like public AI data labeling. I think is a great use case for crypto because you need to incentivize people to do things, and those things are labeled data. And you want to use smart contracts as a mechanism to incentivize people to provide you the right data that you're looking for. So public AI is great. Human protocol, Fraction, Asimov, Mizu, these are all projects that are focused a bit more on like the data component. And then one layer lower, we have all the like actual compute. So this is including like Fala Network we work very closely with, Aether, Exabits, Compute Labs, Gaib. These are all teams focused on like hardware provisioning or like some sort of financial market around GPU hardware. And then we have another sort of focus on hardware, but much more distributed. And that's more focused on like edge models. So that's where Crinix comes in. Crinix is great. They have, people running tons of nodes and you're able to receive inference by people running these nodes. We have on the decentralized like vector store state like data side, we have Xtrace. Xtrace is a really solid team building I think essentially a private vector store. So you can give your AI some context of what you like, because if your AI doesn't know you well, it's going to give you bad results. But you want to make sure that's private. And so that's where these teams come in. Again, the list goes on. We have a giant ecosystem of these things called shade agents. Shade agents think of it as a super smart contract. So it's a smart contract that can call an LLM and various tool calls. So you can, sign transactions across any chain using the programmable MPC network, but it's an agent that is verified inside of a trusted execution environment. So you're able to prove that the code that you think you're running is actually running, which is a big deal when we're talking about agents that are managing your money for you. And so shade agents is like a whole nother bucket. There's a lot going on, which is why people are like, oh, what is Near building? We're building the open web. And that is a lot of stuff. And so that's another thing. And there's another big bucket of teams focused on AI for governance. So in crypto land, all these DAOs have been around for quite a long
Correct.
time. There's a lot of failed experiments. We are big believers that AI is going to play a very large role in supporting teams managing protocol treasuries and making decisions across the ecosystem because humans are inherently biased. I'm not saying AI is not biased, but the goal is for AI to be less biased than humans and hopefully make more rational decisions. And so there's a whole slew of projects dedicated to AI governance. And then what I work on day to day is more on the confidential compute side of things, building out a essentially confidential compute cloud of sorts, very close with the Follow Network team. And yeah, we are very interested in providing private inference for the world. And this is more focused on enterprises because enterprises have a lot of sensitive data that they should not be running through, let's say, non-HIPAA compliant ChatGPT. If you have medical information, you should not be throwing that into an AI model that is not actually really allowed to, yeah, properly, according to the compliance standards that they don't have. So we are very interested in essentially managing private data, not managing, but like facilitating inference for people with a lot of private data.
Got it, got it. So thanks for the overview. And now moving towards our last question for the session. So that would be like, how does the roadmap looks like for near, and what would be the more focused areas for you guys in future?
Yeah, so again, Near is very big. I can't say what's going to be happening for all of Near. What I can say is that intents and chain abstraction is still going to be a huge priority. That is a whole thread. I think the intents volume is growing week over week, like exponentially. So I think there's a ton of success happening on that front. So chain abstraction aside, we have the infrastructure, the actual protocol itself. The goal is to continue scaling, continue decentralizing, making sure that the hardware requirements to run a validator are lower and that the economic incentives to run a validator make sense. So there's a whole thread on economic security that happy to dive into, but there's a very big focus on that front to continue decentralizing this database that's powering all this stuff. And then what I'm most excited about is this concept called decentralized confidential machine learning. And in short, what this is, it's a way to verify model weights and while keeping them private, so you're able to create a more sustainable monetization network for open source AI. And if
Okay.
it's not open source, then you're able to verify it, which is going to be really important when we are relying on models that make decisions for us. I want to make sure that the model that I'm using that's recommending that my doctor is using to recommend me what medication to use is not only trained on data provided by one pharmaceutical company. Because if that is the case, then it's going to be biased and only push me medicine from
Yeah,
that one pharmaceutical company.
correct.
So this sort of insight and verifiability of models is something that we need, society needs. And we need a better way to monetize this open source world because right now, the big elephant in the room is that a lot of AI is not economically sustainable. And I do anticipate a large crash in the AI market, similar to what we saw in the 90s with the dot-com bubble, where there was not a ton of economically viable companies. It just cost more to run them than what they were providing. And we need a new way to monetize verifiable open source AI. So that to me is like the most important thing that we can contribute to the world of AI and ultimately the world.
Got it, got it. So thanks, Cameron. Thanks a lot for coming on to this podcast and sharing so much great insights about near ecosystem and the whole idea about AI and Web3. So thanks a lot for
Absolutely.
joining us.
Totally. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.